Alright, so to begin, I first applied moisturizer on my face, and I have been using this stuff for like 20 years. This is my Oil of Olay Complete for sensitive skin. I just love it because I put it on, it keeps my dry skin hydrated, but then it doesn't feel greasy, so when I am applying makeup over it, it goes on smoothly and I don't feel like it's interfering with any of that. And now I'm gonna go in with my primer, and I have been loving this stuff. I've been loving this stuff from Maybelline. It's the Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. So I just take a little bit of this, especially for, you know, I mean, women's pores can start showing a lot more even in their 20s, but I find that especially in my mid-30s, they're just showing a little bit more. So in order for the makeup to look really nice and airbrushed, this is fantastic to use. So what I like to do is I just take a little bit, little goes a long way, and I like to start concentrating and just patting in the parts where you actually have porous skin. So that usually tends to be next to the nose, like right here in the cheek area, not so much the forehead, but like the chin, really pretty much around the T-zone. And then whatever's left over, I'm just going to nicely smooth that into my skin. Two things that I always think about, especially during the winter months, when my skin I feel like is a lot more pale, so it's dull looking, it doesn't have that nice bright glow that it sometimes gets in the summertime, and also it's really dry, so I want to make sure I have more of that dewy effect on my skin. So I'm going to definitely be using a foundation that that's going to address that. Something I like to do just so I help my skin look a little bit more bright is Correct. And I'm gonna take my NYX Dark Circle Concealer Corrector, and I'm gonna take this concealer brush from number 7. Love it, it's from the drugstore. Both of these are from the drugstore actually. And I'm just gonna lightly apply to the dark under eye portion. And I really like using this especially for that area where your eyes look a little bit more sunken in. So it's gonna help just lift that and make it look more awake. And then I'm gonna also take a little bit and just put it right next to my mouth, because that's where I get a little darkness. I'm going to take my beauty blender, damp beauty blender. Some people don't know you're supposed to wet this. Well, make sure you wet it, because that's how you're gonna find it really useful. And the reason I'm putting this on before I put my foundation is because I feel like with Corrector, I don't know why, but for me, I really like doing the Corrector first, because then the foundation will kind of even it all out, and then the concealer over that just makes it look really flawless. And another thing is layers tend to work really well. I know some people are like, can I just put one layer of foundation on and concealer? You totally can, and there's nothing wrong with that, but for some reason I find that especially when I'm going out at night, doing it in steps, like in layers, it one, doesn't look super cakey, and two, it gives you that really nice flawless airbrush look. So those are just my tips. Okay, now what I'm gonna do for my foundation, again, to address this need of nice dewy skin during these winter months, I'm gonna use this L'Oreal Infallible Pro-Glow in number 207, which is sand beige. I'm loving this stuff right now. It gives me a nice medium coverage that you can build, but then also it feels really weightless. And then I'm gonna mix that with this. This is the NYX Honey Dew Me. So usually I use my beauty blender, but I found this brush recently, and it is the IT Cosmetics CC Plus Skin Perfecting Brush, and I love it. It is a little bit more dense, but I just barely put a little bit of product, and then I find that it just evenly puts the makeup on everywhere. So I'm gonna take this NYX Honey Dew Me Up, and I'm gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand, as so. It has these gold specks in it, so it kind of just brightens up the skin a lot. And then I'm gonna just take the concealer and take a little bit and put that on the back of my arm. And then I'm gonna mix the two together. And the consistency gets a little bit more thin, but it's great because it will still go on really nicely, okay? And what I like to do is I start on the outer part of my cheek, and I just like to kind of pat it in. You're stippling it in here. Whenever I'm using these brushes, I do not like to swipe. I feel like when you swipe, it leaves a lot of those kind of makeup streaks, and it just doesn't look good. So I'm gonna go in, and then I kind of work upwards, and then under eye. And I also take this and I go right into the lid because I just like everything to be nice and even. And then also take it down to the neck, especially during the winter months when I feel like my skin's a little bit more of a different color than the rest of my body. I want to be nice and golden, so I want to make sure the rest of me is too. What I love about this, it literally feels so light, but I could, if I wanted to, go back in with another layer. I have a few sunspots on my cheek, which I really need to address, but I feel like this so nicely covers it in just one application. So there you go. A lot of people do ask, this is just a side note, a lot of people ask about how you match foundation to your skin, especially if you're picking it up from the drugstore. So obviously, if you can't open it, the best bet is gonna be doing this against your jawline. Obviously, that's not ideal. If you can open it and test it out, one good thing is a lot of drugstores these days, you can buy it, try it out. If it doesn't work, you can return it. What you can do too is, if you can open it or they have a tester, I just take a little bit and then I just take it and I literally go like this. And the one that kind of naturally disappears into the skin, or when you pat it in gently, disappears into the skin, is probably your best match. A lot of it has to do with mixing. And so what's great about drugstore is that you can find a darker shade, a lighter shade, and mix the two to make your perfect shade. And really at, you know, less than 10 bucks a pop, you're spending $20 on a perfect foundation color for you, and the consistencies and formulas are so great right now that you really don't need to spend that much money. Okay, that was my side note. Anyways, now I'm gonna go in with my actual concealer. I really enjoy mixing two concealers together right now. One is the Revlon Age Defying Targeted Dark Spot Concealer Treatment. This is in medium. And then this one is the Maybelline Master Conceal, also in medium. This formula is amazing. As you can see, mine's almost literally on its last legs. It is amazing because you put it on. I love this self-applicator. You put it on and it's really quick drying. So it reminds me a lot of the MAC Pro Longwear, which is one of my favorites also. It covers really nicely, you put it on and then you're good to go. I like using it with this because this is a little bit more creamy and so it helps me mix this in, especially during the winter months when my skin is more dry. I just squeeze a little bit out and I'm gonna just start by going down alongside my nose and then under the eye. You want to do that little triangle effect. So you can see the reason you do that is because it's going to help give a spotlight under the eye and it's going to push it up. So it's going to make your eyes look whiter, brighter, and all that good stuff. The other thing, the reason why I'm dragging it down is because concealer, you technically want to go a shade lighter. So if you're going a shade lighter and you just do it right underneath, you're going to look like the reverse raccoon eye. This kind of helps blend it all together. So it goes from like a nice one color thing, you know, one color to some highlighted areas without being too dramatic or drastic. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this Maybelline one. Applicator, I don't like that much, but whatever. I'm just gonna pat it on here because this one is kind of the one that you have to do with your hands. And then I'm gonna take my Beauty Blender and I'm gonna take the pointy end and I'm gonna just start patting it in and working that all the way in. I'm gonna pat again because if you just drag, you're basically gonna be taking off all of the product, which we don't want. We want coverage. Then you wanna make sure the side of the eye, that's where a lot of times if your eyes water or mine tend to water, they can get a little red and sensitive. So I like to make sure I concentrate on that area. And also just make sure everything's really just nicely blended. So if you find yourself going all the way down to the cheek, it's okay because you are blending. Even though it's concealer, you're blending it. And then you also want to get inside the tear duct. You want to make sure everything's nice and even. So as you can see, it's already just nicely highlighted right there. It's like a nice spotlight on that. And then if you do find that you put too much product on, don't worry. If you're doing this and you're like, oh my gosh, I have too much product, you can either wipe it off, or what I like to do is just go into the spots where I'm gonna highlight anyway. So like into the forehead, and the chin a little bit, or you have a pointy chin, so I don't need that much. Oh, there you go. Now to set everything, I'm going to take my L'Oreal True Match powder in W2. I kind of just do the lightest color that's there as I want it to match my concealer. I don't want anything too dark, so I'm gonna do this. And then I'm using this e.l.f. blush brush. It's a blush brush, but it works so well. I'm just gonna take some, and then I'm going to basically pat again all the spots that I just conceal. It's winter and I'm dry. I don't want to put powder everywhere, so I'm spotting it. And then I'm going to take a little bit of bronzer because everybody wants to be nice and glowy during the winter months. I'm going to take this powder brush from number 7 again. It's from Target. I love it. It's just so nice and soft. And I'm going to take this bronzer from Milani Cosmetics. It's Soleil Baked Bronzer. Now, it does have a little bit of shimmer to it, but a little goes a long way. And this shimmer, for some reason, I would say for most people on their entire faces use a matte bronzer, but this bronzer is not overwhelming and it just kind of gives that really pretty glow. So I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna start on the perimeter of my face, almost as if I were chiseling my cheek out. I'm gonna go at the jawline and work your way up. And you wanna be as conservative as you can because, again, it's better to build up than it is to take off. It's way too hard, especially once you've set once you've set like cream foundations and stuff. You do not want to go back in with more cream. So, okay, you see how this side just looks nice and glowy compared to this side? It just kind of looks more alive. Okay, now we're gonna move on to highlighter. This is my absolute favorite and it just broke, but it's from the drugstore, so I'm gonna go get another one. It's L'Oreal True Match Lumi Powder Glow Illuminator in Golden, and this stuff is amazing. I'm going to take this Makeup Artist Professional brush, again a drugstore brush that I found from CVS, and it's dual-ended, which I love because it saves time. Anyways, I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna lightly apply, and I smile because this is obviously where the sun would naturally hit your cheeks. So I'm gonna apply it there, and then I'm gonna work it to the brow bone and a little bit above. And then what I like to do too is the tip of my nose, and then Cupid's bow, always a good spot. Just gives it a really nice glow. I love this stuff. And don't go too crazy because there is such a thing as too much highlighter. But this stuff, I like it because even when you apply it, it's not overwhelming. Also, you want to be careful with highlighters because the older you are, they can set into wrinkles. So you don't want to have too much of that. But that's why I really like this stuff, because it's nice, it's not overwhelming, and you can always build on it. So that is basically it for my concealer and foundation routine on a daily basis. I would actually use this as well when I'm going out. I would maybe just bake a little bit more, meaning when I'm setting my powder after I'm done, I'm just gonna be putting some more on, maybe a thicker consistency, and just let it sit there for a while. Finish off this look for the purpose of looking alive. I'm going to take another brush from IT Cosmetics. I'm gonna take this blush, which is one of my faves, from Amore. It's Amore from Milani. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of blush. Okay, and then just set the apples on my cheeks. And if you ever feel like you have too much of a heavy hand with your blush, just kind of take a bigger fluffy brush and kind of mix it all in. One of my biggest pet peeves is having really streaky, overpowering blush. Learn my lesson. I'm going to curl my lashes. Mascara from Smashbox right now. This is Full Exposure, waterproof. I feel like it really just brings out my lashes without trying. Like that just kind of opened up my eyes. Finish off with my brows. A little bit of lip gloss. One of my faves day to day is this one, Praline. It is NYX Buttergloss. It's good because I can apply it without really looking in the mirror. And there you go. And that is it. That is my day-to-day foundation concealer routine. All right, everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it kind of just gave you a little bit of understanding of how I do my baseline foundation and concealer. And I know that that's an issue that a lot of women struggle with, just figuring out how to get a nice base on. I feel like this really helps your skin look nice, flawless, airbrush. If you have any questions regarding the products I use, please be sure to ask them in the comments. I am gonna list everything I did use below, and I hope you guys give me a thumbs up on this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!